And welcome back to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. Once again, I'm your host, Litecoin Leader. Another big day here at the Bureau. Just for subscribers, we have game piece number 2 for ALTCOINopoly. Now, this coin is going to harken back to a number of videos I've made already in the last few weeks. It's a coin that's going to be in the top 100 range, give or take 20 spots. It's under $1, so it's in our value area. It is touching on stable coins, but we're not investing in stable coins. That doesn't make any sense. They're all tied to $1. Why would we invest in something that's stuck at $1? But there's a reason I'm mentioning stable coins. And also, it's a project that's going to be under the influence of Coinbase. So with all those factors and many more, let's dig into our second game piece right here for ALTCOINopoly, just for subscribers. Now it's time to review our second piece for ALTCOINopoly. As a quick review, we divided the board into 4 main zones. Zone 1 is the first one we're going to be talking about. And that zone is the cheap rent area. The cheap rent area is the first side of the board. As you start past the start space, we went to this first space over here, which was revealed in episode 8. And now we're going to reveal the next piece on the side of the board, which happens to be RSR. Now, RSR is also known as Reserve Rights Token, and it has several coins associated with it, and we'll get into both those coins, the RSR and the RSV tokens, and we'll explain the difference between the two. It's very important to know that you want RSR as an investment rather than RSV. Not financial advice, but if you're going to get into this project, RSV is the coin that's tied to the US dollar stable coin right now, so it's going to be pegged at $1. RSR is the one that can vary in price and can go up significantly. So RSR is the investment vehicle, the one that you want to get involved with if you want to choose this project. So what is the Reserve Rights Token? What is the project all about? Let's take a harder look. Okay, so let's dive into RSR, or the Reserve Rights Project. Reserve Rights has 2 different coins, and we'll get into each one. But first, let's start about what the project's main goal is. What's the mission? The mission is to really build a stable coin that can't be shut down. It's trying to create a digital currency that's borderless, that's able to be used in a number of different locations all across the globe. And their primary focus is starting in countries where they're experiencing hyperinflation. So we're going to take a quick look at the protocol and how it works in a diagram, but I'll try to simplify it for you as best I can. So this is a diagram of the Reserve Protocol, and which shows the flow of 2 different coins. There is the RSR, the reserve coin, and the RSV, which is the value coin. Now, what happens is that they try the vault, which sits in the middle here, tries to keep the RSV token at $1. It's circulating supply at $1. If there's too many RSVs in the marketplace, it will reduce the production of RSV. They try to keep it back at $1, but if there's not enough, they'll produce more RSV. The RSR is the governance token that helps to work on how to create that stabilization and also control the vault as far as what are the assets that are backing the RSV to make sure that there's valuation behind it. Now, overall, in the long run, right now it's targeted to be $1, but that is just phase 1 and phase 2 of the project. So a little more detail on reserve rights in the background, in the 3 different phases of the project. Phase 1 is the centralized phase. That doesn't mean that it's a centralized coin. What it means is that they're centralizing the valuation. So they're collateralizing the coins with a number of different tokenized US dollars. We're talking about TrueUSD, USDC, DAI, Binance USD. All the different stable coins that are out there are used in a group to collateralize in a centralized manner. Then it becomes a little bit more decentralized in phase 2, where it's different basket of assets. It's not necessarily stable coins. And then phase 3 is where it gets really interesting, is where it's no longer pegged to the US dollar. So this is the only project that I've found so far that has a roadmap that is talking about creating a stable currency that is not tied to the US dollar. In other words, it can float. It doesn't have to be the US dollar. It could be gold, it could be silver, it could be oil, it could be a commodity, it could be Bitcoin, it could be whatever. It's not married to the US dollar, which is significant in the long scope of things if crypto eventually moves away from a US fiat system, US dollar valuation for coins. Continuing on, we talk about the two different tokens. There's two tokens, as we mentioned earlier. There's the RSV, which is the one that's right now tied to the US dollar at $1, or as close as possible. And RSR is the governance token. That is very important, and we will talk about more, but that is the coin of interest from an investment and financial vehicle perspective. Again, not financial advice, this is just for educational purposes only, but RSR is the coin that you want to take a look at. And you can obviously find more detail on the reserve.org page of all the different explanations, and including their white paper. So who else is involved in the RSR project? They have a number of investors, and it's a significant list. Starting right at the top of the page, Sam Altman is a venture capitalist. He's been in a number of projects of interest, including Airbnb, Stripe, Reddit, Asana, Pinterest. That's just one. And Peter Thiel is another one that's been involved in PayPal as among other different ventures. You'll see a number of very interesting things here. Coinbase is significant in here. They're mentioned several times. Coinbase is a backer, which is significant to note because often when Coinbase gets involved in a coin, they're probably going to list it at some point. Just taking note how many times PayPal is mentioned on the page. We have Peter Thiel that's here. We mentioned him earlier with the co-founding of PayPal. Also, there's Jack Selby, who is a member of the founding team, and Eric Jackson, who was a VP of marketing at PayPal. That's three different people that are involved in this project from PayPal. That's of significant note because not only now we have a mention of Coinbase, but we have a mention of PayPal. So PayPal has talked a lot about cryptocurrencies and getting involved. So it would not surprise me that you could see reserve rights as one of the currencies that they offer on PayPal for cryptocurrencies when they get involved in this realm. So one more investor that I really wanted to point out here on this list, and it's a large number of lists. I mean, you've got major players, major involvements here, both in crypto space and Silicon Valley big business. But if we scroll down a little bit further, we find Digital Currency Group. Digital Currency Group is a large player, and you'll see the mention of Grayscale. They're involved in Grayscale. So it would not surprise me at all as well to see Grayscale eventually create another fund for another coin that they've already made 20 plus funds for people to invest in cryptocurrency assets. RSR could easily make that list very soon. Now let's take a look at some of the countries that they're looking to get into first. RSR has targeted Latin America for the first few projects. Venezuela, Argentina, and Colombia, because those countries are having major inflation rate issues. You can see Venezuela here is just out of control, 4 million% inflation rate. So one of the mission statements here, going back to the early statement of what RSR's goal is to create a stable economic vehicle. I'll call it a stable coin, but it's really not a stable coin. It's a stable coin, but it's a stable coin on steroids. It is a new currency system to escape the present currency system. So Venezuela is clearly out of control, and we will show a video shortly about how they're using that as a means of exchange in South America. But they're targeting right now. It's only available. RSR is only available in Venezuela, Colombia, and Argentina. That's it. Just 3 countries on the globe. So you can only imagine how big this project can be and get once it expands into other countries. I like to look at a lot of different places for information and pull them all together to get an informed opinion. Twitter can be a good vehicle of that, as well as Medium. Reserve Rights has their own Twitter page, Reserve Protocol, and you can find some pretty interesting posts that they have there. One of their most recent ones in April is their one about March Madness. That links to a Q1 2021 report on Medium. And if you go to that, follow that link, you get to a very interesting page where it talks about the highlights of this quarter, about Venezuela, and how many followers they have in Argentina and Colombia, how many downloads they have in Venezuela. Again, it's a hot market there. They use it a lot. In this article, there is a very interesting video that's embedded in here. And I'll skip this one. That's a good one too. But in the interest of time, we're going to go to this particular video down here, which shows people actually using it. So this is this is in Spanish, so I'll have to speak over it, and my Spanish is very, very rusty. But this is a person that's actually trying to do a transaction in Latin America. I think it's probably Argentina, and he's demonstrating how the vendor at a mall, a Disney shopping mall, can go and pay. He has $70 available in his account, so he's able to go over to the point of sale device and using the QR code, take a picture of the QR code and say, okay, how much is this, whatever he's going to buy, and it's going to come up, I think it's $14. So he's going to put in a few memos about explaining what it's about and putting the address who he's going to send it to, and he's going to type in how much he's going to send. And then we're going to see how quick it is to move the money. So not only is RSV, a stable coin and stable currency, but it's also with their app, which is available in Latin America only right now. There's $14.50 he's going to send. He's going to hit the send button and watch what happens in just a moment. It'll be on that other phone in a matter of moments. So he's going to confirm it, and then you'll see, unfortunately, he moved his phone away, but bang, $16.50 showed up right away. So you can see in a matter of seconds, the money went from one phone to the other and into the other person's account. This is similar to Venmo or Zelle, and it shows that, or PayPal, and it's probably even faster. So you can see that the RSR and RSV shows how Zelle is dead, according to this tweet. So talking a little bit more about RSR and where you can find it on the chart. RSR right now is in, I think it's around position 80 or so. It's had a very good week. I'm going to scroll down, pardon the fast scroll. But RSR, there it is. So RSR is just under a dime per coin, and it's had a very significant week, up almost 20%, which has put it at the 1.2 billion mark. Now that's significant because it's really pulled it away from that top 100 line. It was right around $1 billion last week, which put it right at that number 100 and 101 line, where you could get that Coinbase Effect bump from page 2 to page 1. Now, that's not to say that RSR could dip back down or other coins could jump ahead of it and you could get that effect again. But for right now, it seems to be a little bit safer into page 1, which is good because when you get to these larger numbers of how it's doing for the week and you sort that, it's going to be near the top. Looking a little bit harder at RSR, we can see again it's at just floating around a dime, just under a dime. I want to point out something that people are concerned about, which is that it's called the float. And the number of coins that are available for the project is significant. There is over 100 billion RSR coins when there's only 13 billion minted now. That's causing a lot of people to have some pause about this project because only 1/8 or so, 13%, has been released into the marketplace. But if you dig deeper into the white paper, that is really a reserve for RSR, no pun intended. Because there's the possibility that they could need those coins, but there's also the very strong likelihood that they're going to burn a lot of these coins. Those coins are kept in reserve in case then they need them further, but for right now, it doesn't seem that they need to go in down that road. So that number is probably going to go significantly down in the future. Another point to point out about this project is it doesn't have its own blockchain just yet. They're going to move to their own blockchain soon. They've been talking about it for almost a year now, so it should be imminent. But they're still an Ethereum-based coin, and as such that they don't have their own blockchain yet. But once they get to their own blockchain, you'll see a lot more partnerships come out and a lot more expansion for the project. So a little history on how I first came out to find this coin. So and I like to share my sources, and I think I want to share them with everyone. If you want to delve further in, be my guest. But about 9 months or so ago, maybe almost a year, I started to hear more and more about this coin. And this is Lark Davis, who had a very good video on it, and I'll share this link. But this is he delves into RSR and what it's about, and talks a little bit further about a lot of things I've already talked about and some things I will be talking about the partnerships with Binance and Coinbase. This was back then. It was not listed on Binance. The RSR was below a penny last year. Now it's over a dime, so it's gone up 10x or more, and it's already been listed on Binance. It has not been listed on Coinbase yet. So I'll share this video and a few others that are up here at the top of the page that I've delved into. One from Blockchain Andy, one from CryptoTube, and another one from Crypto Mobster. Gives a well-rounded view of 4 different people's perspectives, 4 different YouTubers that are out there, what their takes on this project. All of them are positive so far. This one's the most recent, but I think that if you dig further into these videos and the white paper and so on, and want to dig into this project a little bit further, I want to provide all the resources so you can. So as we talk more about the RSR project, the Reserve Rights project, what is a coin that would be an analogy for this? What is a coin or as we dig in further on the Reserve Rights project, what is another project that might be similar for a basis of comparison? I always like to find a comparison so we can get an idea of what the possibilities are for RSR. So one project that I looked at pretty hard was Maker. Maker is a cryptocurrency with a governance token that manages the stablecoin called DAI, and this is all in the Ethereum protocol. So again, this is intended to be for Ethereum. It's not going to diverge or go into its own blockchain. It is on the Ethereum blockchain. So the DAI is the stablecoin for the Ethereum blockchain. So if you look at how that is structured, we have Ethereum, Maker, and DAI. Ethereum, most everybody knows Ethereum as that's the basis of the entire blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain. That's the one you invest in. That's the underlying value of the entire Ethereum blockchain. But there's relationships back and forth with DAI, with stablecoin, and Maker. Maker is the governance token that works between the two to try to provide liquidity, keep the right number of DAI available in the marketplace, and also keep it at close to $1. So Maker is a governance token using both DAI and Ethereum to try and keep DAI at about $1. So the analogy here is that Maker would be like RSR, and DAI would be like RSV, and Ethereum would be the bucket of assets that the RSR project is going to use, such as the stablecoins, and then possibly later on, different assets or a bucket of assets that may not be tied to the US dollar. So just focus now on Maker for a moment. Maker has had an epic run lately. Since January. It has moved from below $600. Well, it was $500, and now it's $2,500. So it's gone up 5x, and now it's $3,800. So call it over 7x. So the market value of Maker is $2.5 billion, or more than double of RSR. So at a very beginning valuation, you can see that RSR could easily double in value if it's comparable to Maker. But the scope of Maker is not as large as RSR. Maker is meant to be a stablecoin for the Ethereum platform, whereas RSR is not necessarily just for a crypto stable coin outlook, but also as a means of exchange. So now let's talk about the Coinbase effect. Coinbase, we've talked about this before. Coinbase, they have their own blog, and they often put out interesting blog posts of coins that they're considering for adding to their platform. So that just happened recently, where they added a few coins, I think a couple weeks ago. One of which I think it's on here, but there's a number of coins here that are listed. You see that RSR was mentioned in a blog post in July of 2020. Here is the description of all the list. Let's see, reserve rights in the graph and theta. These are all very interesting projects that could be added at any moment. Coinbase just went public, so Coinbase will be expanding, I'm certain, and theta is a huge target for being added as it's the top 20 coin now, and RSR stabilizing in the top 100 is also a high probability. So that could be another reason that it's running. Again, Coinbase is a backer, so they will definitely be listing it at some point. So expect a Coinbase effect, and as I mentioned in the other video, the Coinbase effect is a 20% bump when it gets added to Coinbase, just from making it available in the marketplace. Also, the fact that it's under $1 means that a lot of people will say, that's cheap, and just buy into it because it's only a dime. So expect RSR when it gets added to Coinbase to see a nice bump. So now it's time to take a look at RSR on the charts and see if we can see any patterns here. Looking back roughly 6 months, we can see that it's been in a general uptrend since November, December. It started out below, in the 1 to 2 cent range, and now it's making its all-time high now, just over a dime. So when a coin moves like this, how do you find out where it's heading and what the pattern is and what's the target? So let's take a look at this on a few different other views and see if we can find a reasonable answer. So what I've drawn here is I've drawn a channel since November to today. The price has been moving in this channel from November all the way to today. That's 5 months. It's been moved about 5x in that period. And for the general trend line has been upward in the trajectory, up and down a little bit, but for the most part, it's heading upwards again to the all-time high. All right, so this is a very difficult chart to draw a prediction or where RSR is heading. So let's try and look at it a little bit in a different perspective. If we look at RSR against Bitcoin, since September when it was listed on Binance, we start to see a general, it's tough to see a pattern here, but if I draw something, you might be able to see it a little bit. That's something that caught my eye. Maybe this looks familiar too. This is a cup with a handle. Now, it's not a perfect cup with a handle, but you can see that it dipped, and then it came back up, and then it started to pull back, and look what's happening just today. The price is spiking up from that handle. So if we consider this a true cup with handle, we can go over to the measurement tool and measure to the neckline of the cup. And that's roughly, call it 100 sats, give or take. So 100 sats would put it at 268 sats when the handle was at 139. So I would put the target range for RSR around 230 to maybe upwards of, let's see, it's right here. So 230 to 260 sats. Now that equates to the price in Bitcoin. So it's hard to predict that in dollars, but as I mentioned in a couple other videos, maybe you don't want to think about prices in US dollars, but rather in Bitcoin. So just taking from the handle here, if you had gotten in at 140 and the target was 260, it's almost a double. So you might be looking in between 15 to 20 cents for a reasonable target in the near term. And that's a short-term range, maybe a couple months. And at that point, I expect a few other things like the news on RSR to really kick in. And that's where you get the other events that were happening with Coinbase and PayPal and their own blockchain to come out and really impact the price and take it even higher.
And that's the second piece of the game so far. So I hope you're playing along, downloaded your game board, started to fill out your spots on the board as we walk our way around the ALTCOINopoly spaces across the summer. We're going to be putting out 35. You can count the blank spaces. There's 35 blank spaces on the board. We got to fill them all in before July 31st. So get your boards downloaded. Be sure to watch all the videos. Now I'll try to index them as best as I can, but you're going to have to watch all 35. Maybe a few less because I might put a couple pieces together that make sense. But I think this is to give you an idea of the general format. This is the second one that we've done. One we did free for the YouTube, but just for free, just for everyone to watch. Just as we encourage people to subscribe and join us over here on Litecoin Leader, join our community, join the website, and start playing the game, possibly win a nice grand prize, which you're already eligible for, assuming you're in the lower 48 states. So get your board downloaded, write down the space for today, what the coin was, and I'll catch you next time. Let's close the drawer in the bureau. Have a good one. I'll see you next time.